The game Angry Birds is one of gaming's biggest downfalls. Angry Birds had such a viral rise and a really bad fall. The game had its breakout during the first generation iPhone and iPad. The games were later released to other handhelds and consoles. Now, as I did research, the most popular Angry Birds game to this day is the Star Wars Angry Birds game. And the Angry Birds Star Wars didn't do too well when it was ported over to PS3 and PS4. They did really badly. Angry Birds has had two big movie adaptations and many small animations, but nothing as big as the movies. Now, what is Angry Birds? Let me read it up for you. Angry Birds is a Finnish action-based media franchise created by Rovio Entertainment. The game series focuses on the eponymous flock of birds who try to save their eggs from green-colored pigs. Inspired by the game Crush the Castle, the game has been praised for its successful combination of fun gameplay, comical style and low price. Its popularity led to many spin-off versions of Angry Birds created for PC and video game consoles. A market for merchandise featuring its characters Angry Birds Toons, a televised animated series and two films, the Angry Birds movie and its sequel The Angry Bird Movie 2. By January 2014, there had been over 2 billion downloads across the platforms, including both regular and special editions. By July 2015, the series game has been downloaded more than 3 billion times collectively, making it the most downloaded freemium game series of all time. The original Angry Birds has been called one of the most mainstream games out right now, one of the runaway hits of 2010, and the largest mobile app success the world has ever seen so far. The first main series video game sequel, Angry Birds 2, was released on 30th July 2015. The first game in the series was initially released on 11th December 2009 for iOS. At the time, the 2009 swine flu epidemic was in the news, so the staff decided to use pigs as the enemies of the Angry Birds. The company released ports of the game to other touchscreen smartphone operating systems including Android. In early 2019, all remaining Angry Birds games released before October 2014, with the exceptions of Friends, were discontinued and removed from app stores. Though Bad Piggies was added back in early 2020, Rovio has declined to explain the reasoning behind the decision apart from brief tweet and support response, both giving different answers. However, in June 2021, by popular demand of the fans, Rovio announced that the classic game will be available on the stores again sometime in the future, and recreated versions of the original Angry Birds game known as Rovio Classic Angry Birds came to mobile platforms on March 31st, 2022. Now, Angry Birds really did the most when it came to what they could do. They really stretched it as far as they could. And this was more or less to their detriment. They even had food products and like gas drinks and stuff. I don't know about sweets and stuff, but they definitely had their fair share of like drinks, and they even had plush lines, they had merchandise, they had so many things. But let me read up a little bit about their food product. In early 2012, Olvi started to manufacture Angry Birds soft drinks after licensing with Rovio, with two different tastes, Tropic and Paradise. In September 2012, Olvi released two new tastes to the soft drink collection, Lagoon and Space Comet. Now, Angry Birds really, as I said before, they stretched what they could do. They even created theme parks and playlands and stores specifically tailored for said Angry Birds. They really did the most with the series, and I'll put up some pictures of the places. So from what I've seen, the places is, I think it's Angry Birds Land, Angry Birds World, Angry Birds Experience, various things. And you know, this game was so successful that it even warranted a few knockoffs, and I'll read up about it. The game's popularity had spawned knockoff and parody games that utilized the same basic mechanics as Angry Birds. For example, Angry Turds, featuring monkeys hurling feces at other objects at hunters who have stolen their babies. Another game titled Chickens Vixens, released in beta from on Windows Phone devices, replaces the birds and the pigs with chickens and foxes respectively. The developer of Chicken Vixens intended the game as a challenge to Rovio Mobile, which stated at the time that a Windows Phone port of Angry Birds would not be ready until later 2011. The Angry Birds theme song and its characters appear in Just Dance 2016, which is something very interesting. But Angry Birds, even though how perfect it was in all of its glory, was not without controversy, and here is the said controversy. In January 2014, it was released that Angry Birds was considered a leaky app and was used to collect data about its users, including their sexual orientation and location, by the National Security Agency and GCHQ. In retaliation, anti-NSA hackers defaced Rovio's website. Claims were made by Edward Snowden that the app was leaky and that they were capable of siphoning data. Which is what today a lot of apps do by standard, but it's I don't know if I think it's illegal unless the people consent. But here's the last part of the controversy. Following the revelation on 29th January, the Angry Birds site was defaced by hackers who replaced it with spying birds via a DNS hijacking attack. According to Rovio, the defacement was caught in minutes and corrected immediately. The Syrian Electronic Emergency tweeted after the incident that the attack has been carried out by a friend of theirs. Now, I'm going to talk about my conclusion, and my conclusion is that the game was not popular enough to really warrant anything else. They stretched it as far as they could go. They created theme parks, they created merchandise, they created 2 movies that were made by high-ranking producers and high-ranking animation artists. That was done by Sony, and Sony created so many big, Sony, Pixar, and DreamWorks level animation to the movie. I watched the first Angry Birds movie, which was pretty good. I think my favorite character was the yellow bird because he was really funny and silly, and I kind of liked him. But yeah, they did the best they could. They never really went to a 3D version of the video game except for a 3D mobile game, which I haven't really checked the reviews on because I didn't think it was necessarily relevant. But yeah, they did try their best to really stretch the game. So I guess 2019 was one of their last projects as opposed to doing a 3D Angry Birds game. But my favorite one was the Angry Birds Star Wars. I really played the hell out of that game, to be honest. I played the heck out of it as much as I could, but I got lucky because it was on a phone that I bought from a friend. But yeah, I don't pretty much have else to say because that was a mobile game. It wasn't a game you could really take too seriously. It was a game you'd play in your free time, maybe on the bus on the way to work, or maybe if you're going to school in the back of your parents' car or something like that. But I thank you so much for watching. This is the Chili Man signing off. Peace out.